Welcome to a new look Harry's Garage from, as you can see, inside my garage. This is where I keep everything, and I thought after we've been doing videos for 2 years now, and I called Harry's Garage. It's about time I actually took you inside the garage to see where everything is. This is my little den where there's far too much space. It's why I end up buying far too many cars, because I never sort of run out of space. It's a really bad thing having a big garage. That is a warning. But I'm going to use this as my new base for videos in the future. The plan is to put a car under the spotlight every couple of weeks and do a sort of road test on it. It just helps. British weather isn't the best weather in the world, and I need somewhere that's got a roof sometimes, especially going into the winter, to be able to do the videos that we do together. Before we get into doing some of those, I think it's high time I gave you a tour around the garage. There's some pretty cool stuff in here. Okay, let's start over here then. Well, a car that doesn't always come in here because it has a tendency to drop mud and also occasionally drop oil, so it doesn't often get let into this car store. But my Land Rover Series 1, which is almost in daily use around the farm. Such an iconic car, and actually such a useful car to have around the farm. It's basically a motorised wheelbarrow. And then the bike collection, which is always a bit of a surprise when people see these, when they walk in here, because they don't quite realise how much bikes have played a part in my past, really. I got my first bike when I was 11, and this particular little group of bikes, I thought it would be quite fun to put together a collection of the bikes that won Paris-Dakar. So these bikes here actually stretch from the very first bike to win Paris-Dakar in 1979, this Yamaha XT500. It actually won outright because the cars at the time, it was such a sort of small event. It was a very French event that a Range Rover won the car class, but the bike was actually the first to cross the finish line. Quite an amazingly basic bike. Then the BMW GS and the Paris-Dakar edition, the Africa Twin, the Yamaha Super Tenere, and right there, a big bad boy Cagiva 900 Elephant. Probably my favourite, well, I've got second favourite bike. We'll come to that in a moment. Right, what else have we got in here? Well, we got the little Fiat 500 that we did a video on quite recently, and my Elan, which I've owned since 1995. I always put those two together because it's basically Elan is the only car that makes the Fiat 500 look normal size. Then the Porsche GT2 replica based on a 993 Turbo, absolute weapon of a car. We'll be going out on track later this month in that, going down to Goodwood. The SL600 that I used to keep in France. That's boats move, so we're not actually got that in France anymore. I'm probably going to sell it, but it's such a useful car to have around, and it doesn't, you know, you think what it's actually worth. Is it actually worth selling? I don't know. If I get a tempting offer, I might. 350 SL, yeah, I'm not allowed to sell that because my daughter's in love with it, so that sticks around. Clio Trophy, still, to me, the best hot hatch. It's super small, super quick, feisty little thing, and that's not going anywhere either. And then some more motorbikes. This was a dream bike when I was growing up. 17, this was the fastest bike on the road, the Kawasaki H2, the 750 triple, bonkers mad. Although this is a slightly tamed version, this is the H2B. Again, I'll be doing a video on it and tell you a bit more about those. More off-road bikes, yeah, I mean, it's having brought up sort of with some land to tear around, play silly things on motorbikes, then they've been a big part. That particular bike is a Beta 450, that's the sort of farm bike, but I did actually cross the Pyrenees. I went from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic last year, 2015. I did a video, but we never actually produced it. One day maybe I'll put it on the site. Another Cagiva Elephant, this time a 750. I just love those Lucky Explorer colours, and as I say, I've got far too much space and suddenly go onto eBay and end up with another motorbike. It's a disease. Now my farm hack, Africa Twin, Honda Africa Twin RD03, the 650 original. This is all wrong to the purist. It's got slightly wrong blue. It's had a bit of a respray, an amateur respray, bit tatty in places. It rides fantastically well, and being a Honda, you just press a button and it starts instantly. And if I was going to ride from here to Cape Town, that's the bike I'd take. Not this one. This one, you have to take your brain out and then go for a wild ride on this. Is a KTM 200 EXC. This is two-stroke, bonkers light, about 100 kilos, crazy power band, wheelie machine, great fun. I ought to grow up one day, but that goes around the farm as well. The XJ Coupe V12. I keep thinking I'm going to do this car up, but I've got a suspicion I'm not going to do it, so it's another car that I might well move on in the next coming months. And then the two sort of modern Jaguars, the XJR and the Project 7, which is a year old now. Love seeing these two together when they're sort of identical paint finishes. I've had great fun in that Project 7. It's just usable, it's angry, it's a modern day Cobra. Love it to bits. The Espada, with its little, the sort of caption that it was down at Goodwood Festival of Speed on the Cartier lawns, that sits proudly on the top. Going to be doing some things with that as well, which I won't tell you now, but look out for some more videos on that car, as there will be on this one. The Countach, complete with Salon Privé Concours Cup, thanks to Richard Tipper of Perfection. He somehow managed to turn my 61,000 kilometre car into a Concours winning car, which is quite amazing. There are two Countaches in here, which is a bit naughty, but it's a friend's I look after. I actually had both of them and sold one to a friend, but it never actually moved out of here, so lovely seeing the two together. And then the Testarossa, the Sahara Testarossa, which I actually was out in yesterday. It's a real surprise how well this drives, this car. It makes fantastic noise. It's a really surprising car. Every time I get in it, I just wonder why people don't use that. You don't see more of those about, because it's such a usable sort of GT car. And finally, probably the most recent car that joined me in the garage, this bad boy. Known as the concept SVX, you'll probably recognise it from something else, which I'm not actually allowed to say on camera, but a real bad Defender. I just thought what would be the ultimate last Defender to get, and somehow ended up with one of these, which I'll be doing a video on very shortly. It's as good off-road as it looks, but we'll go into the details in the future when we get it out on the farm. So there you go, quite a collection in here. You're going to be seeing a lot more cars this year. That's the plan. As I say, a test, a minimum of every 2 weeks there'll be one in here, and some other little tests along the way. So please subscribe, because there's some more videos coming along very soon. See you later.